Hello, everyone. Last week, I told you how Dave Smith wiped the floor with Adam Sosnick about Dave saying that America is one of the biggest terrorist group in the world. Is totally a lie. That's rubbish. But Adam didn't even put up a fight. He didn't even, he didn't say anything whatsoever. And Patrick Bet-David today addressed the issue, and quite honestly, it looked like he was one sentence away from firing him on live air.
Adam, you were on the you and Dave Smith did a debate together on, on Piers Morgan. I think that's the first time you were ever on.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the market has responded, and they've been, saying their thoughts on how it went, what you did, what was said. What is your impression on how you did on the debate with Dave Smith?
Well, despite what you think, I haven't listened or watched any of the internet comments. Zero.
You.
I don't go onto Twitter. I don't check the comments. It's just not something that I do. Some people are messaging me on my neck. What do you think? I don't know. People are saying stuff, and I'm listening to a song called "Ain't Nothing Gonna Break My Stride, Ain't Nothing Gonna Slow Me Down," and that's how I feel about this. So they told me last minute, hey, you're going to go on Piers Morgan. Sure, I think Tom was maybe going to do it. Tom wasn't able to do it. They called me up. I said, sure, I'll debate Dave Smith. Listen, there's no doubt that Dave Smith is smart or wise or well-read.
Yeah.
The same thing could be said about when you debated a room full of 20 communists on Jubilee. They were all very smart. I was very impressed by all these people. But just because you're smart doesn't mean you're wise. Now, do I think Dave Smith is smart and capable? Sure. Do I think he's funny? No. Do I think he's right? Definitely not.
I'm asking you, how do you think you did?
I think I did fine. My intention wasn't to play nice. So I went on Piers Morgan. I don't really have plans on going on Piers Morgan every single day. That's not my thing. It's a food fight every single day. Respect to Piers Morgan. I wanted to make some waves. That was my methodology. I could be right. I could be wrong. I don't care.
Okay. So
the problem is
you said you don't care?
No, meaning I don't care what the market thinks of me.
Yeah.
I know what I believe. I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I stand for what America stands for. Dave Smith, what pissed me off, he continues to say that America is the greatest terrorist regime in the world.
So what?
And that Israel is the greatest terror regime in the Middle East.
So what? That's his argument.
Sure. That's his argument. My point was that only 1% of Americans vote for libertarians. He's a hardcore radical libertarian.
Okay.
So when you wrote the book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, you said, who's your enemy?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know who my enemy is. I don't really have a lot of enemies. You know me, Pat. It's a big difference between the internet and comments in real life. I walk around in real life. I have zero issues.
You don't have.
Here's the thing, though. It's irrelevant. He's personal attacks. Libertarian. Nobody votes for libertarian. It's not attacking the argument. Once again, he's not really going at what Dave was saying, which is to call America is the biggest terrorist group in the world. I mean, I wouldn't want to live in the biggest terrorist group in the world. I certainly wouldn't do that. I probably wouldn't use that as an argument anyway, because it's easy to say you have nothing to say, so leave the country, or leave the country then if you hate it so much. It's irrelevant. I would probably use the argument with somebody that's not American. I mean, why would you move from another country to America if you really hate it? So that argument could be used there, but not against Dave Smith. He's an American citizen. He can say what he wants. He does say what he wants. He's getting in attention by people like this who really show no argument wisdom. So he basically gets W's without any opposition.
That's not the conversation I'm having.
The conversation that I was just basically establishing is that Dave Smith, as potent as he might be on a podcast, or even on Joe Rogan's for that matter, people don't support this guy. I support our troops. I support America. I support our allies.
I think Joe's had him on 20, 30 times.
Irrelevant.
No, it's not irrelevant. So ask whether you agree with the guy or not. Joe likes Dave, right? So the question you got to ask yourself is, from my perspective, there is issues, there is approach, there is what's next for you. It's very hard. So you got to think about ways to improve. I'm asking you. The argument is one end, because I don't know if you focused on I've seen you make better arguments with Bassem Youssef than you did with Dave Smith. I didn't see you making arguments on Dave Smith. And the reason why I'm doing this with you openly, and I'm talking to you openly with you, is there's an element of also representing where you're coming from, where the expectation is, hey, when you go and be professionals, that's not how I handle debates. I don't handle debates that way. That's not my MO. So if you're close to me and you're handling it that way, that is not my style. I don't do stuff like that. And Dave and I don't even agree on some of these issues. But if I'm having a conversation, it's about what is this next phase. And by the way, the reason why I'm having this direct feedback with you publicly is for the following reason. This is how I roll, Adam. I will give you private feedback and have your back 100%. I've always been like that. This is why my guys like working with me, and they know how tough it is at times because I'm always challenging them. But if my private feedback that I'm giving doesn't land, and it feels like you have immunity to go run around and say whatever you want and keep saying, I don't give a shit what people say, I do. There's an approach to take about this game. I don't care that we have differences in debates. We push each other here and we have arguments and, comment, I side with Vinny today. You know what? Today, actually, I side with Adam. There was a couple moments where you had a couple clips of like they sided with you. I think Adam's the point today. And I'm like, oh, okay, Adam had a point. And then, hey, Tom, no, I'm siding with Tom today. Pat, you were off today. No problem. But it's recreating for the next phase. Next phase requires all of us to recreate ourselves, and that includes you in a big way. And I've said this privately 8 weeks ago, 9 weeks ago at that dinner place we went to, and I was very direct with you. But you're cornering me to have to say this publicly to you right now. Being very respectful to you, and you had no idea that I'm going to go here this morning. You had no clue I'm going. And by the way, I intentionally changed today's business podcast to do this because obviously Monday I couldn't be here. We had certain things that was going on. This weekend I had, what do you call it?
SLS.
SLS. Sean Hannity did it last Friday, so I changed everything, and Rob and I, we had to talk about it yesterday and calendar to do it this way. But for me, sometimes, when people say, I don't care, 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 and sometimes this is like the Trump effect. Well, Trump doesn't care. Well, Trump doesn't give a shit. Well, Trump doesn't do this. Well, contrary to popular belief, Trump looks at every poll. Trump listens to every comment. Trump listens to every criticism. So what you think that Trump does, I'm not telling you go read the comments the next day and go through all chat. I don't recommend that at all. But I do believe a little bit of criticism to see, well, maybe there's a little bit of credibility there. There's a little bit of value there for me to receive. How can I receive this and recreate myself?
Now, this is what real accountability looks like, really. I'm 100%. If the private feedback is not getting to the guy, I mean, look, at some point you got to call him out. You got to call him out so he can feel the pressure. And listen, I've never been a fan of this Adam guy, but as a owner of other platforms, you have to provide people their the platform to speak for themselves, to speak out there, to give their opinions, and whether you like them or not. Right. And so, of course, they have to have some level of talent, some level of intelligence, some level of intellectual nous on whatever they're talking about. And listen, but if it's not working, you got to go at them. You got to say it publicly. And it looks like Pat has been telling them privately, look, you got to do this, you got to do that. And he hasn't been listening. And to be fair, when he went out there to Piers Morgan, he made himself look like a fool. I have never seen an L like that from a debate ever. And it made Dave Smith even bigger, even more famous, even more likable. And listen, I don't dislike or like him. I don't agree with him on many things. Sometimes I do agree with him. It is what it is.
Any thoughts you had?
Respond real
of
quick,
course, absolutely.
So I'll just break this down real quick. We didn't have this discussion prior. You just kind of preemptively brought this up, and I'm totally okay with it. If I wanted to have a ideological debate with Dave, I would probably rephrase it that the world is a dangerous place, and he wants to pretend that he's an ostrich and not engage with anybody. So, to use an analogy, if this guy was a dating coach, he would say, just sit at home all day and wait for women to knock on your door, and that's when you can respond to women. The world doesn't work that way. If you're a sales coach or if you're a sales manager, that's like saying, just stay by the phones.
What do you think's the outcome of a debate?
But the outcome of a debate.
Forget Dave Smith. This isn't a Dave Smith conversation. That could have been John Doe. I'm not talking.
But the point is that I'm trying
what
to
make
make
the purpose of a debate?
We're not aligned.
What is the purpose of a debate?
To find the truth.
The purpose, it's a clash of ideas.
Sure.
So somebody can watch and say, wow, good point. Never thought about it that way. Let me go back and look at it, right? That's the debate. It gets people thinking.
Sure.
So if I'm going into a debate and I didn't make anybody think, what was the purpose of debate?
Sure. Well, now, fair point. Well, the point that I was trying to make is that ideologically we're not aligned here. I'm supporting Trump. Was I supporting Trump 5-10 years ago?
No, you were not.
So I'm all behind Trump. Everybody
Right.
wants to criticize Trump right now. The thing that I'm basically establishing is the fact that this guy has the luxury of living in America and wants to criticize the heck out of Trump when I'm defending Trump and our troops. The point that I was saying is I'm defending Trump. Dave's the type of person that'll root for the bad guy in the bad movie. So that's who Dave is. Aside from that, other than that, I understand what you're talking about. The reason that I brought up the Coleman Hughes, and I encourage people to go watch it. This was the sort of like the swan song event. Imagine you hype up this event. Here's what's going on. The SLS is coming this weekend.
Yeah.
Here's what's going on. And this debate takes place, and it was a 12-0 drubbing. So that's my point. Should I have conveyed it a little bit better? Sure. Should I have not brought up someone else's debate in my debate? Maybe I'll learn that for the next time. That's fine. But the reality is this. He got whooped, and I called him out on it. That's all it was.
Now, see, look at Adam trying to scramble in there. He's completely out of his depth. This is the problem with this guy. I mean, you know, these guys think because they have a microphone in a nice studio that they are geopolitical experts, if you will, for lack of a better word. And unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't care, Dave Smith exposed him. And now his own boss is exposing him. And he just can't fake it at this level. It just is what it is. Listen, there's many arguments. In that particular video that you can find somewhere on the channel, I put out what I would have used for some basic level arguments, not attacking him personally, not going back to another podcast, irrelevant. I mean, he's saying that he wasn't prepared. He wasn't really, meant to be there. He just asked him if he wanted to go there. Sure, well, I'll go. And that's kind of his excuse. But at the end of the day, if you listen to him, he's not really taking accountability. And that's the main problem. I think that is Pat's problem with him. It's not about, as he mentioned many times, it's not even about losing the debate. It's not even about this whole situation. It's not even about Dave Smith. It's about him not taking accountability, not taking constructive criticism to change and to actually look at feedback. As a business, as a podcast, anything out there in life, if you put yourself out there, you have to see what people are saying.
Yeah, but it was your fight and his.
Sure. For the next time, I'll debate him just heads on. I brought up something from the past.
But my feedback isn't actually that. My feedback is it's okay to pay attention to the pulse of the market every once in a while. Good feedback's being given. Not 80% of the people, not 90% of the people, but there are reasonable people that will give you good feedback.
Sure.
And none of us, there's not a single human being in the world that actually likes to be given feedback that we get excited about it. So it's not like anybody likes it, but it's in those moments where your character is being tested to say, you know what? Let me receive some of this and see if there's some good feedback and then process it.
Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want more videos. I'm Chris, U.S. vet, and I want to know from all veterans. I want to know because what is your take on the war? What is your take? I know we all don't sound the same, don't look the same, and certainly don't think the same, but I want to know your opinion. This is the place for veterans to be uncensored. Think. It's not illegal yet, but I'm sure they're working on it. See you later.